Panther fans, best pod of your day. This is the game week edition. It's real. It's really game week. It's really purple in the dome. Can't wait for everybody to see that. J.W. Cox alongside head coach Todd Stepsis. We will have Derek Anderson on the show every week. Best pod of your day, joined by the head coach and a special player guest. Coach, it is real. It is game week. I want to get both your thoughts on this when we bring Derek on too, but all the years you've done this now, when does it really first hit you that now it's not camp, now it's a game week, and you're finally getting ready to play somebody on Saturday?
There's always a moment in time, and it usually happens right around a week to a few days before the game that makes you realize, oh, wow, it is football season, here we go. And so this past weekend, I mentioned it in our weekly press conference, we had a little bit of a dress rehearsal. What's the routine going to be like game day, 1 o'clock kick? And so we just get in from the Panther statue. We just get done with our substitution and our mock game review in the end zone. So the players are going into the locker room to get dressed and get ready to come out for our scrimmage. Well, at that same time is when the game in Ireland was going on with Kansas State and Iowa State. And Riley's brother is playing for Kansas State. And so we all kind of have it on our phones just to kind of see how it's going. And, of course, weather's terrible. But then there was some series of events that happened where, Iowa State gets the ball on a muffed punt. They have a drive that gets extended with a penalty, and then all of a sudden, boom, ball's on the ground. And the guy that recovers the fumble is Riley's brother. And so, we're all going crazy. And it was right then, and it's man, this is going to be us really soon. And that's when, the switch happened for me this year.
You have made no bones about the fact that there's going to be a lot of guys who can come out and contribute for this team that fans will see when they come out. One of the things you also said, though, is you can make it simpler. You mentioned one of your mentors, Larry Karras, and what he was all about in players, formations, plays. Does that help make a game one simple when there's so many unknowns and you're not sure how it's going to go? Does simplifying it like that help things for you specifically into week one?
100%. I mean, it feels like every week. I mean, game one, especially nowadays, gosh, with how rosters can kind of move and flip, and then coaching staffs are kind of doing the same thing. There's not a whole lot of continuity in college football. So that first game, if you're not really focused on yourself and what you do well, and again, you can't do everything well. It's impossible to do everything well. It's you're either going to be good at something or not very good at a lot of things. And so I think if you don't have that philosophy of, hey, this is our meat and potatoes, this is what we're going to, this is what we practiced a bunch back in the spring through training camp to now, this is featuring our best guys, doing what they do well in positions that they do it. I think if you don't attack it that way, I think you're setting yourself up for failure in a dirty game, to where, we're hoping, first games are always a little messy and a little bit sloppy, and we're doing our best to minimize that kind of play. But at the same time, we're going to accept the mistakes. We're going to see how quickly we can cycle those in real time. We talk about that a lot, but when it really happens, you screw up a play, you miss a block, you drop a pass, and it counted. Now it's in the stats. It's a lot harder to flush it and move on in a quick period of time. And so, I got asked a couple times, what are you looking to see? What's going to be success in your mind? I'm not an outcome guy, even though I know the outcome is important. It's seeing that reaction when things don't go well, because they won't. I mean, we try to play a perfect game every time we go out there, but it never happens. Well, what happens when it doesn't go well? What happens when we need to bounce back from some adversity? And if I see us respond in the right way, that's going to be a win for me.
How do you kind of mirror that? That's what I had here too, to talk about. There's going to be mistakes, and how do you what's your philosophy in getting past that? Whether it's in game, and then when you get a chance to break it down during the week, and as you move on through the season, how do you want to mirror kind of bouncing back and moving past those mistakes?
I think guys understand what I'm about to say, but then it's hard to realize it in real time. And that is, our sport, different than any other sports, there is so few opportunities to play. And so for every play that you have bad body language, that you're negative, that you're down on yourself, that's a significant amount of playing time in the grand scheme of things that you just missed out on. in our sport, again, like a lot of sports, there are no guarantees for tomorrow. There's something that can happen at any moment in time that can take our sport away like that. So realizing that fact that, boy, we don't get to do this, for real on Saturdays very much. If a game, an average game lasts around 3 hours, we're talking 36 hours of playing football where it counts. And why would you want to waste any second of that with any other mentality of next play? So again, easy to say, easy to comprehend, but then to realize in real time, that's always the trick.
Throughout the season, we want to give some pats on the back, whether it's in-game, and certainly once that starts flying, we'll do that for what's happened on the field. But as you wrapped up camp and now as you've gotten into this week of preparation, who's kind of impressed you throughout the program, whoever it might be, that you want to give some pats on the back to as far as how they're approaching this first game week?
Well, I got to give our guest a shout out.
Okay.
Derek's one of our leaders. He's elected captain. Had the most votes. We have an election. The guys all get to vote on who they want to be their leader out there and who wants to be in front. And DA was one of those guys. He was the top vote getter. So he's one of our captains. And I think when you're pushed into a leadership role, he was always a leader, but now you have the title. Mm-hmm. And so that carries a lot of weight and a lot of responsibility to not only continuing to do the things that got you elected captain, but now you got to be okay with being the bad guy every now and then. To when you notice something is wrong or off, or guys aren't hitting the standards that we've put out, coaches sometimes, actually a lot of times, don't see those things happen. But when you're in the locker room, you do. And so the extra burden of holding your teammates accountable, even though, again, being a fifth-year senior going into a lot of those guys are going to be in your wedding someday. And it's sometimes really tough. That's one of your best buddies, and you see him skip a rep in the weight room, or you see him not finish, through the third stripe after he catches the ball. We're counting on him now to call those guys out, and he has risen to the challenge and then exceeded those expectations. He's been a phenomenal leader for our team. He's Mr. Dependable. You can count on him at all times. So whether it's taking every rep at practice because we had some tight ends get dinged up, to showing up at a community service activity and leading the charge. So, I think I could probably give tons of guys shout outs because I'm really proud of how our team has prepared and has attacked this training camp. It's a tough time to be alive at times. It's long days and it's grueling hours and grueling activities. So I could give a lot of guys shout outs, but him in particular, really proud of how he's played. I don't want to discount that. He's going to be productive and he's going to make plays for us. He's got a section of the call sheet. I don't know if you knew that or not, but there's we have sections in our call sheet on offense of where we know he's getting the ball, and so we're going to get him the ball, get him involved, and he's going to be very productive on the field. But then who he is as a person, as a man off the field, that's really, really special.
Enough said there for the shout-out portion. Last thing that we'll get you out on, and I want to do this throughout the week to kind of pull back the curtain on what you guys as a coaching staff and you as the head coach are trying to impart to your guys from the mental side of what they're doing each week. What's that focal point for you guys heading into week number one? If you put a finer point on what you're telling the team from a mental standpoint to get ready for Butler on Saturday.
Right. So our program has a mission and a vision. It has a mindset that goes along with that mission. But then there's core values and there's pillars that our team needs to embody in order to become champions. And each pillar, we have 12 of them. We have 12 guaranteed games, so it kind of works out.
Yep.
But one of those pillars is believe. That is the word believe. And for us, that's where it all begins. If you want to do something great, if you don't have any belief in be able to make that happen, it's never going to get off the ground. So the message is, boy, we've earned that belief from January until now in ourselves. Our teammates have earned the belief in each other. We have had the mindset and the attitude where we believe in what we're doing. now it's time to play with the confidence to start to have some success. So the belief this week is really what it's all about. How can we take the belief that we've earned, in ourselves, each other, in this program, and apply it on Saturday.
Best pod of your day, episode number 2. It is game week number 1. We've got Derek Anderson coming on next. You percolating some things that you want to buzz him with and find out a little bit more, dig down on Derek Anderson. We'll do that in the lightning round coming up and a lot more right here. Best pod of your day. Back after this with Derek Anderson. Back I called it episode 2. We had episode 0, whatever it is. It's week 1 of Panther football coming up. Butler coming into town on Saturday. Get into the Dome. Check out all the renovations and check out this Panther football team. Happy to be joined by Derek Anderson, tight end, captain, 5th-year senior. Derek, we'll start you with the same thing we talked to Coach about. When you get to this week, what is it that triggers your mind to know that, all right, this is a true game week now. We're coming up and we're going to hit somebody on Saturday?
Yeah. So for me, it was kind of similar to what he talked about. It was Saturday. I knew going into scrimmage I wasn't even going to play much in the actual scrimmage, but it was that whole pregame routine. You're eating breakfast, and then we came over and we did the Panther walk, and then, we're getting into the locker room, and I remember just sitting down in my locker, and I was like, all right, today I'm not necessarily getting ready to play, but a week from now I'm going to be. And, you kind of have that rush of adrenaline, the same rush of emotions that you get on game day, of that excitement and anxiety, but it's mostly excitement, like this just combination of feelings that you only get from game day. And that's when I was really like, all right, this is the last one. Like, this is the last year we're about to do this thing. So
I wanted to talk to you specifically about your development here over now going into your 5th year. I went back and looked, and at least on the roster, we had you at the same height, so it's still 6'6", but 220. Now we got you 6'6", going up over 250. Take people inside what the process is over 5 years to get yourself to a spot where, you can be bigger and where you are, but still have to be athletic considering the position you're going to play.
Yeah, honestly, that 220 mark is probably giving me a little bit. At the time, I remember the day we came to weigh in, I was chugging water all morning long because I was trying to weigh in as heavy as I could. And I remember I stepped on the scale at 213, and that's the heaviest I'd been in forever. I was probably regularly like 205, 208.
Wow.
And so I was stoked about it. And then I remember shortly after getting here, watching the guys kind of maxing out and watching Jared Brinkman bench 405 pounds for reps. And I remember sitting there and being like, all right, this is what it takes. I got a long ways to go. But I think I kind of, through that, had a bit of a chip on my shoulder because, I joke there's guys that don't have stars that come here, but I didn't even have a 24/7 profile. Like, I wasn't really a guy that was on the map. I was a walk-on. I wasn't recruited hard. I was undersized, played quarterback, didn't even play defensive line. But that was kind of my chip of, I knew a lot of people didn't think much of me. I wasn't the guy that everybody was looking to come in, see what he was going to do. Like, I was kind of under the radar guy. And so I really just tried to embrace that as best I could. We had a great strength coach, Jed Smith. The things that he did, I knew the transformations guys had, and I really just wanted to soak in everything he could give me, everything I get from older guys. My decision this summer was I was going to find the guy that maybe also wasn't the most talented but turned himself into the best player, and I was just going to watch that guy and try to follow that guy and whatever it is. And for me at the time, that was kind of Caden Hoftelling, was a guy that he made a big transformation, and he worked as hard as anybody, and so he was kind of the guy that I was watching and trying to learn from. And so then just that was kind of the process every year was, what can I do to make sure that I'm working harder than everybody else in the weight room, because I don't have maybe the natural tools other people do. So I've got to make the most of the talents God's given me with this opportunity that I have in front of me. So
no wonder you ended up back in the defensive line with those two guys, Jared and Caden, but good to have you back at tight end now. Coach, how fun is that for you? Obviously, with these Panther guys who are in their 5th and 6th year, you're seeing kind of the end product. You've got some freshmen who you hope make those same steps. How fun is that to watch that kind of development, which goes on year-round for these guys?
I mean, that's what it's all about. A lot of people ask me what's the best part of my job. It's that. I get to be a part of that journey and that transformation. And, we're talking a lot of the physical parts, but, he probably wasn't the person that he is now when he got here. So not only did he look a certain way and, he probably talked a certain way and acted a certain way and, grown up a ton. And, now he's who he is now. We have NFL scouts coming in, checking him out. And they ask me, what kind of guy is he? And it's, shoot, man, he's the type of guy that you'd want your whole team to be like. And so just just seeing that transformation physically, mentally, spiritually, like all of those things, it's the best part of my job. So being a part of that's awesome.
Derek, what's school like for you right now? Where are you at academically, and what are you working on this semester specifically? And what's your goals looking like now?
Yeah, so I kind of had a little bit of the benefit of being a fifth-year guy, and then I got to get a lot of school done while I was here. So I started a master's program last fall. It's the Kinesiology Sports Performance Masters. So I'm actually in my final semester of that now. I'll graduate December. And so that's been a lot of fun because, one, I got to go from being a player with Jed to then learning under Jed as a strength coach and kind of seeing the behind the scenes of all that. And I think that really gave me a unique perspective of I've seen what the weight room did for me, and now I get to try to help other people have that same kind of thing. And then another great thing about it is I'm really interested in the sports psychology side of things. I think that's something in my own game that's helped me a lot, was just learning more about the mental side of the game and what it took to get there. And so from an academic standpoint, I'm really interested in that. And so I'm working on a thesis right now with that. I'm hoping to, I'll defend that at the end of December, and then hopefully maybe publish some things out of that, and maybe eventually down the line go and get my doctorate in sports psychology would kind of be the idea. So.
And I don't know if you noticed this, he's number 2 on that board back
with
there.
All that
4.0. Pretty sweet.
You mentioned the mind side of it and working with Jed. I know a big part of one of the many legacies he left here is the mind candy fact of that. You got a favorite piece of mind candy that Jed ever gave you over the years that kind of stuck with you?
Yeah, one of the things I think he talked about the most was this idea of delusion and what that looked like. And I think that was something really good for me because, you come in out of high school and, I was under-recruited and things, but I was used to, it was a small school. I played both sides of the ball. I'd never played before. Then, freshman year, I remember a couple people went down in camp, and I was sitting as a 2 on the depth chart because we were missing like 6 guys. And I remember being like, I might play this year. And then all of a sudden I had to go against Trevor Penning one time, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to play this year. And so then throughout my career, that was kind of the goal all along was, listening to Jed of don't try to be delusional and about how hard you're working, how hard you're doing this or how hard you're doing that. Like, it's all about be really real with yourself at every point. I think that's something that in my career has helped me a lot, is just being really real with where I'm at, being critical with where I'm at, so then I can try to be the best I can be every day. So.
When you look at where you came from, you've talked about it a lot. It was not a big school. You list Sioux City as the hometown, but Hinton High School as what? So what happened there? I mean, I know it's close and it's right there.
Yeah.
Give me the backstory there. How you go from Sioux City to going to high school in Hinton?
Yeah, so it just honestly is. So my dad worked in Sioux City, and we lived there. Hinton's about 15 minutes north of Sioux City, and my parents had always gone to small schools. I'd always gone to small schools growing up, so that's kind of where they wanted me to be when we moved in. So I just open enrolled into Hinton right when we moved there in junior high, and that's kind of where I was. And it was pretty cool because I think sometimes you can see like the small school as a downside of, you don't have the college recruiters coming through all the time. You're not playing against the best competition in the state. But I think one of the things it did for me in a great way was that I got a chance to do a little bit of everything, and I think that helped me down the road. Like, one of the things, I wrestled a lot in high school. I think that's a big reason why defensive line and tight end worked out as a guy that just played quarterback in high school. And I got to play both sides of the ball, and I got used to every snap, and all of a sudden I come to college last year, and I had to do that again, and it just felt like senior year of high school again. Like, you're just not coming off the field to get ready to go. So I think, you can see the small school as a downside, but I think Hinton allowed me with a lot of opportunities through that too. So.
Love of the game increase there when you're just never coming off the field. I mean, you can see it. You don't want to sit, right? I mean, yeah. So did that have an impact on knowing that you were going to stick with it at some point to this degree in your career?
Yeah, I don't think when I came to college I knew I'd be doing the whole both ways thing, but I think it really just supplied me with doing that in high school. Like, I just loved the game of football, and it was the same way in high school. I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. Like, I just want to play with the guys I love, and I want to win football games, and I want to play the best that I can, and whatever that takes, I'll do it. And so then when I came to college and there was, the position changes and then the things I got asked to do last year and special teams, like, that wasn't something I was unfamiliar to, because I like the mentality that our team had was just you do whatever the team needs, no matter what it is. And so then be able to carry that into college, it just felt like going back to the high school roots. So.
One of the other many things you were a part of that I found was concert and jazz band. Did you do percussion? Is that you had a passion for that, or was that it's a small school so everybody's a part of everything? Walk us through that part of Derek Anderson's young life.
Yeah, I did enjoy music quite a bit. Yeah. So I did music all through junior high and into high school, and I did the jazz band, choir, all that kind of stuff. Like, it was I don't know. It's kind of sad to me. Probably a lot of people don't necessarily know here because all I am is the football player here and whatever. But it was a lot of fun because I got an opportunity to do something way different. And, I joked that I would get more nervous sometimes for those band concerts than I did football games, and nobody could understand that. But it was just different. So.
All right. Still do it at all? Like picking up any percussion stuff, or you left that with you?
Yeah, no, not really anymore.
Right.
Not really the time for that. So.
All right. You ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Coach, you got a few you're ready for?
Yeah. I'll pipe
All right.
in.
I'll get us started off here. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd probably live. I'm probably going to stay in the Midwest. I do like the Midwest a lot. I like that it gets warm in the summer. I do enjoy winter still and all the things that go in that. Midwest people are great. Like Midwest nice is a real thing. So I would probably just stay in the Midwest, honestly.
All right, then who would you want as your neighbors?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so for my neighbors, I'm really close with my siblings. So to me, like the dream world is a cul-de-sac where all of my siblings, we live in houses next to each other and our kids play with each other. And we get to hang out all the time because my brothers are probably my best friends in the world, and so to be able to be neighbors with them, that'd be perfect life. So.
Love that.
That's
the
cool.
Anderson cul-de-sac, anywhere USA. What's one food, if you guys are getting together, is there one food for the family that you guys would constantly be cooking on the cul-de-sac, or what could you guys not live without?
Yeah, absolutely. My mom's lasagna.
Okay.
That's about as good as it gets. That's always the request. Birthdays, holidays, whatever. She'll ask what people want, and it's always make your lasagna, please. Make the lasagna.
Can you make it?
So I can't make it like she can. She doesn't have like recipes. She's like, I just do a little of this and a little of that, and so I don't really think you can copy it the way that she does it. She's just whipping it together.
I'm the opposit. I measure everything
Gotta
out.
do
I get made fun of. Like, I get the
got a
measuring
scale?
cups out. Oh yeah, like no, I can't do that.
Let's move to movies. You got a movie that you could watch over and over again and never get sick of?
I could watch any of the Avengers movies over and over again. I like all the Marvel movies, all that kind of stuff. So give me any of the Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, any of that kind of stuff. I can watch it over and over.
Okay, well then who's your favorite character?
Captain America.
Captain America.
He's a stud.
I can see that. I can see him living on a cul-de-sac in the Midwest. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at Halloween, dressing up as Captain America.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll bring
Going
it
trick or
back.
treating.
All right, holiday theme. What's your favorite holiday?
Good question. I'm gonna say Christmas. That's kind of a go-to, but I always get family around. We always, growing up, the gifts would be sent out from Santa on the mantle and whatever, and it was like this thing where like you had to sleep in past at least like 4 or 5 o'clock, but as soon as you could, like we were all like watching the clock, and by 5:15 we're upstairs to go see what we had, but you had to be quiet because mom and dad weren't coming down for gifts until 9 or 10 o'clock. But you go up and see what they had, and if sibling didn't wake up, you're scoping through what they had too. So just memories from that.
Now, do you have a gift that you remember that was like, oh man, when I got this, it was the best gift ever?
Yeah. Actually, going back to the music thing, I got a guitar when I was probably 2nd or 3rd grade, and I also got some little like lesson books from some things to play and whatever, and so I just remember doing that all the time. Like I'd just be sitting down trying to figure out the guitar by myself. So
Nice.
All right, so let's put you on the road for like 16 hours on a road trip, wherever you're going, somewhere in the Midwest, somewhere else. Who's the teammate from this year's squad that you'd want to go with for 16 hours in the car?
I'm probably gonna say Aiden Dunn.
Okay.
I think if I had to go 16 hours with anybody that could keep the conversation interesting, I was gonna pick Aiden Dunn. We're roommates, so I get it all the time, but that guy could talk and he could keep things interesting. So that would be a fast trip with Aiden.
So do you have any PG-rated stories with you guys? Like as roommates,
Yeah.
hanging out, bro time, as we like to call it here.
So one story I think of, freshman year, we were assigned roommates for the dorms. So then during camp, they put us up in a hotel, and so we were roommates in the hotel too. And I remember he found out that I wrestled then, and I found out that he wrestled too, which was both like weird things. We were both high school quarterbacks. They don't usually wrestle and all that. So then he challenged me to a wrestling match. And I remember going for a hip toss and throwing him backwards onto the bed in the hotel. And then since then he hasn't wrestled me, but he'll talk a big game still. He'll always be telling me, "Oh yeah, it's not because of that. I'll wrestle you," but he won't wrestle me since.
Yeah,
so.
you did that to him at 208.
Yeah,
yeah. 250.
I was gonna say we should see if he wants a rematch, but I don't know it'd go all that well for Aiden. Oh,
He's grown too. He's put some on since then.
He's got leverage on you. A little bit shorter.
Oh, Derek, thanks for being a good sport on all those. Before we get you out, let's you're going into the season, fresh start right now. What excites you the most about what this team and you guys can do and get to do, starting with those that first of those 12 games against Butler on Saturday?
Yeah, I think for me the thing that excites me the most is we get to be the underdog. We get to be the team that, we're coming off a 3-9 season. We lose some guys that were big contributors last year. We have a whole new coaching staff, all this kind of thing. So now it's like, okay, do we want to sit in that role that people have put us in, or are we going to do something about it? Do we want to be the team that's like, hey, look at what they just came off of, look at what they did now? So that's exciting to me because every game we get to go in as the underdogs, and it's, hey, we're going to try to come out here and we're going to punch you in the mouth, and we're going to let you know by the end of that game that we weren't the underdogs that you thought we were. So,
Derek, can't wait to see it. I'm excited for you in this 5th year. Coach, thanks as always for the time. Thanks for coming out. Best pod of your day episode in the books. If you missed anything from this one or with our other captain, Tucker Langenberg, in our first episode, go to the Panthers YouTube page, online, unipanthers.com. Get the audio version anywhere you get your podcast. Just search for Panther Point of View. Almost forgot it right there. Panther Point of View Podcast Network for all your Panther info. We'll talk to you all Saturday on the radio. See everybody in the Dome. 1 o'clock kickoff against Butler. Go Panthers.